Anyone that's seen the Netflix documentary film American Murder: The Family Next Door will be well acquainted with the story of Chris Watts, and they'll also know Chris is a shady figure whose story has changed on multiple occasions. Here's everything you need to know about Chris Watts' double life. When Shanann Watts disappeared on August 13, 2018, she was pregnant with a son. While expecting another baby would be a cause for celebration in most families, the announcement seemed to trigger something in Chris Watts. According to documents released by the Weld County District Attorney's Office, Shanann told a friend in a text message sent on August 7, 2018, "I don't feel safe with him after what he said about the baby." That same day, Shanann wrote, "He has changed. I don't know who he is." As Oxygen noted, Shanann seemed to question her husband's behavior and the way he was treating her in subsequent messages. According to ABC News, Shanann's mother, Sandra Rusek, revealed on 2020 that her daughter had told her that the transformation happened over the course of a few weeks, maybe a month. One of Shanann's close friends, Nichol Kessinger, told ABC's Nightline, "He wasn't being the loving Chris that he normally was. He wasn't touching or hugging or doing stuff like that. He wasn't being as attentive to the girls as he normally is." She also shared that she knew Chris and Shanann, quote, "were having some issues about 3 weeks prior to everything." On the surface, Chris Watts appeared to be a dedicated family man. However, in the months leading up to the murders of Shanann, Bella, and Celeste Watts, Chris entered into an extramarital relationship with a co-worker called Nichol Kessinger. Chris met Kessinger, a geologist, at Anadarko Petroleum. According to the Denver Post, one day in the middle of June 2018, Chris walked into Nichole's office to introduce himself. They continued casual conversations. She noticed that Watts did not wear a wedding ring, and Kessinger, who was single, thought he was attractive. As noted by People, over the summer, Shanann took her daughters to North Carolina to spend time with her parents and brother for about 6 weeks.
You've gotten pretty fit. Yeah. You can imagine when guys start cheating or want to cheat, that's what happens. Yes. Tell me about it. I did not cheat on my wife.
As reported by the Denver Post, it was during this time that Kessinger and Chris consummated their relationship. In fact, according to discovery documents released by the Weld County District Attorney's Office on July 25th, Chris Googled when to say "I love you" for the first time in a new relationship. Nichol Kessinger has proclaimed she had no idea that Shanann Watts was pregnant. As Kessinger told the Denver Post, "When I read the news, I found out he was still married and his wife was 15 weeks pregnant." Prior to this, Kessinger alleged that Chris had, quote, "said he was separated and at the end of divorce proceedings," per the Denver Post. However, it remained unclear whether Kessinger really knew the truth about her partner's family, especially when police investigated her Google search history. In November 2018, People shared investigative documents which showed that Kessinger, quote, "spent over 2 hours searching Google for wedding dresses just 9 days before Watts killed his wife and 2 daughters. Furthermore, People reported, on July 24th, Kessinger Google searched the phrase, "man I'm having an affair with says he will leave his wife." This seems to suggest that she knew Chris was still a married man and was yet to actually separate from Shanann. And on August 8, 2018, Kessinger Googled, "topics relating to marrying your mistress." This also seems to imply that she knew Chris wasn't really separated from his wife. Though Nichol Kessinger reportedly tried to delete much of her correspondence with Chris Watts from her phone, the discovery file released by the Weld County District Attorney's Office revealed many details about Kessinger and her relationship with Chris. As reported by A&E, Kessinger deleted Watts' contact info, as well as their texts and call logs from her phone, before contacting local police to disclose their affair. And according to the discovery file, she Googled, "How long do phone companies keep text messages?" As noted by A&E, the aforementioned discovery document contains much correspondence between Chris and Kessinger. Chris managed to keep explicit messages and photos from Kessinger on his phone so that no one else could find them easily. Plus, as the phone records show, Kessinger and Chris were in close contact on the night of the murders, and the following day. Kessinger told the Denver Post that she was, quote, "shocked" when she found out about Chris's actions, going on to say, "I don't think there is a logical explanation for what he did. It's a senseless act, and it's horrific." While Chris Watts' relationship with Nichol Kessinger is the one that hit the headlines, he has also been linked to a number of other potential partners. In November 2018, Daily Mail reported that a male escort called Trent Bolte alleged to investigators that he'd previously been in a 10-month relationship with Chris. In December 2018, Amanda McMahon told Inside Edition that she'd allegedly met Chris on Tinder, telling the publication, "He seemed like a genuine guy. He was funny, he was charming." However, according to McMahon, things got a little strange when she was intimate with Chris. McMahon alleged, "The best way I can describe it is that he almost zoned out into a different person." McMahon went on to describe Chris as, quote, "very forceful," alleging that he'd put his hand on her neck at one point. After his wife and their daughters disappeared, Chris Watts appeared calm and collected during a television appearance, as he begged for their safe return. However, some reports suggest it was likely that Chris planned to murder his family for a significant amount of time before he went through with it. In an interview with Hollywood Life, psychotherapist and author of a book about the Watts case, Lena Derhally, claimed, "He was completely of sound mind. One of Chris's confessions, he does describe premeditating these murders for weeks, and I believe a lot of the evidence backs that up." Author Sherilyn Cato released a book called Letters from Christopher, based on her correspondence with the felon. In October 2019, she shared an excerpt from one of the alleged letters with Daily Mail, which read, "All the weeks of me thinking about killing her, and now I was faced with it." He allegedly also wrote, "August 12th, when I finished putting the girls to bed, I walked away and said, that's the last time I'm going to be tucking my babies in. I knew what was going to happen the day before, and I did nothing to stop it."
I don't even want to say I felt like I had to. I just felt like there was already something in my mind that was implanted that I was going to do it, and I woke up that morning and it was going to happen, and I had no control of it. Why couldn't I just let go?
In social media posts on Shanann Watts' Facebook page, Chris Watts appeared to be the perfect husband. For instance, on June 20th, 2018, Shanann revealed Chris's response when she sent him the ultrasound of baby number 3. She captioned the snap, "I love Chris. He's the best dad us girls could ask for." However, Chris and Shanann's relationship had even caused concern to neighbors, as the nearly 2,000-page discovery report compiled about the murders featured testimony from Chris and Shanann's neighbors. According to the Denver Channel, the report also states that Shanann's friend Nicole Atkinson and another neighbor Nathaniel felt Christopher was extremely nervous. At one point, Nathaniel said he had heard Christopher numerous times in the past yelling loudly at Shanann. The report also made it clear that Shanann's own family suspected Chris when she disappeared, suggesting that behind closed doors, their relationship was less than ideal. Per the Denver Channel, the report states that while police were searching the family home, Shanann's mother called during this time and was adamant that Christopher had done something and that the detective in the case needed to check the GPS on his truck. Shanann's family suspected Watts from day one. In an exclusive interview with the Denver Post in November 2018, Kessinger explained, "When he spoke to me, he was very soft-spoken. He appeared to be a good listener." Kessinger also revealed that she was under the impression that he was divorcing Shanann Watts. As she told the Denver Post, "He made me believe that he was doing all of the things that a rational man and good father would do." The article also claimed that Kessinger started dating Chris in July 2018. According to Kessinger, when she found out that Chris's wife and daughters had gone missing on August 13th, her lover was suspiciously calm. It was only later, once Kessinger learned more details about the shocking disappearances, that she started to question Chris, telling the Denver Post, "It got to a point that he was telling me so many lies that I eventually told him that I did not want to speak to him again until his family was found." On August 15, 2018, 2 days after Shanann was reported missing, Kessinger met with the FBI to tell them everything she knew, and Chris was arrested later that same day. While the Watts family presented an idyllic life to the outside world, they'd apparently been dealing with some hefty money troubles for quite some time. As reported by CNN, Shanann and Chris Watts had filed for bankruptcy in 2015, and prior to filing, they were about $70,000 in debt, most of it from student loans and credit card purchases. The couple reported 2 savings accounts, with a total of $951 and a joint checking account with $864. Chris's mistress, Nichol Kessinger, appeared to confirm the financial issues the Watts family had been dealing with during her police interview. According to the discovery documents, Kessinger told police that Chris and Shanann, quote, "did not get along well and their financial life was also troubling." The report added, "She said Chris was struggling with finances, and now he had a 3rd kid on the way, and she does not know if he could afford another kid." As well as seeming like a nice family man to most outsiders, Chris Watts had gotten rave reviews from his friends in the press. One of his former classmates, Brandy Smith, told Daily Beast in 2018, "Everyone liked him. It's actually amazing how many people that knew him have completely turned on him and think he's this monster when he hasn't even been convicted." Obviously, since the statement was made, Watts has been sentenced to life in prison via the Denver Channel, proving that appearances can be deceiving. Meanwhile, another friend, Chris Landon, told People in August 2018 his entire persona was as a family man. Talking about his wife and his girls, "I believed until the other day that his entire life was those girls, and that he would die for them." While the family seemed picture perfect to onlookers, Shanann had noticed a change in her husband. Prior to her death on August 13th, Shanann was on a business trip in Arizona. With his wife away, Chris decided to hire a babysitter and take his mistress out to the Lazy Dog Sports Bar and Grill in Erie, Colorado. However, Shanann noticed that Chris had spent around $60 and had charged it to their shared card. According to the Frederick Police Department's discovery report, Shanann Googled Lazy Dog menu on August 11th, presumably trying to determine how much one meal versus 2 would cost at the establishment. Shanann reportedly quizzed Chris about the charge and was suspicious of his explanation of eating with a friend. Meanwhile, Kessinger reportedly told police via the Associated Press, Watts used a credit card to pay for the meal. She took that as a positive sign in their relationship, because Watts usually paid for items with gift cards, a practice she took as an attempt by Watts to conceal his activities from his wife. Chris Watts' motives for murdering his wife, 2 daughters, and unborn son have long been questioned by those following the case. As noted by People, the morning after he killed his family and disposed of their bodies at an oil work site owned by his then-employer, Chris called the school the girls were set to attend, saying they would no longer be coming. And then, according to Weld County, Colorado's district attorney, Michael Rourke, at the sentencing hearing, Chris, quote, contacted a realtor to discuss the selling of his house and texted with his girlfriend about their future. It seems that Chris started implementing plans to start a new life on the very same day that he murdered his family, actions that are impossible to understand for most of us watching the case unfold.
The most inhumane and vicious crime that I have handled out of the thousands of cases that I have seen.
Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more Nicki Swift videos about your favorite murder stories are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.